So if you've been waiting for the housing market to give you a better opportunity to buy, you may be hearing some encouraging news nowadays, right? More home buyers are, I'm sorry, more homeowners are listing their homes nationally across the US, right? Also, they are lowering their asking price as well. So the buyers becoming more opportunity, having more opportunities to buy. So the other part, the other group of the buyers might also thinking, great, I may just wait a little longer and home price gonna even drop, right? But there's a problem with that assumption though, because real estate is local. So whatever you heard about the US market, whatever you heard about the Arizona market is completely different. They also, like each individual cities, especially Chandler, is also different. And for the fact they are not behaving like the rest of the country. And if you are the first time homebuyer looking in Chandler, using national housing data to decide when to buy could lead you to the wrong strategy in today's markets. So today, I'm going to show you what's happening with inventory, what's happening with asking price nationally across Arizona and specifically here in Chandler. With that, let's dive right into the information. The first chart I am going to show you is the number of new listings in June of each year. Okay, each column represents a year, June of each year. In 2026, you see that the total new listing is about 463,480 new listing come onto the market. That is up from 452,000, about 452,000. That is about 2.4% year over year. And this was the highest June since 2022. If you look back in 2022, the number is about 500, more than 500,000 homes come onto the market across the US. It dropped in 2023 significantly, right? Almost more than 100,000 homes, right? So this is the drop because not a lot of buyers want to buy the house at that time because interest rate go too high, and therefore they decide to not list. Okay, now it has been gradually increasing and increasing, and as of 2026 this is the number that we have. So we see that for several years, one of the biggest problem in the housing market is the homeowner do not want to sell, right? They decided not to sell, right? A lot of homeowners bought or refinanced when mortgage rate was extremely low in 2020, 2021, and 2022, right? Moving mean potentially they have to, either buy another primary home with a much higher interest rate or buy an investment home at a much higher interest rate. So that's why they don't want to sell, right? Now we're finally seeing some of the homeowners, right, willing to put their properties on the market. For the buyer, this is such a good news because here's the thing: more new listing can mean more choices. Instead of having to only one or two homes available, the entire cities, the entire zip code, right? That fit the criteria, of course, you might now have more options to choose. You can compare location, you can compare the layout, you can compare the upgrade and the price, many things to compare, and you can have time to do that in today's market. And for the first time home buyer, having choices is very valuable because you don't want to buy a house simply because it's the only one available, right? Right? So you want to buy a house that fits your home, your family. Okay. Now, here's an important catch. Even this number show here, an increased number of new listing, not all the area is the same. This chart show you just that. Okay. This is a breakdown to the region across the US. Okay. Nationally, you see here the 2.4% year over year, but look at the Northeast area, right? 12.6% increase. The Midwest is only 1%, the South is only 0.4%, and the West actually a decrease of 0.8% compared to year over year. That's a major reason I constantly tell every buyers, everyone look watching for the real estate market is to not make a local real estate decision based on the national headline. Okay. The Northeast, this is the area that historically struggle with, you know, inventory. They've been having a very limited housing supply. And now we see that this is the strongest growth in fresh inventory. Meanwhile, in the other hand, part of the country that has, experienced stronger inventory recovery, um, now a little bit tightened. All right. And Arizona in the West, right, actually drop inventory. Right? So when someone tell you more homes are coming onto the market, the very next question you should ask them is where? Where exactly that you see more homes available on the market? Because real estate is local, period. Right? Now talking about Arizona, this is the inventory charge in Arizona. Right? This is a little bit different charge compared to these two because these are only the months of the year, but this one show the inventory moving throughout the year as well. Each of the dots represent the number of active listing per week, and each line represent a year. Okay, inventory today in today market like 2026 market is extremely higher, significantly higher compared to the market in 2021, 2022, 2023, and 2024. You see it right here. Always difference between the two group, right? 2025, 2026 is above here. And then, by the way, if you look at closely in 2025 and 2026, you see that they actually getting very close around April until now. Okay, around August, right? There's about 27,000 active listing, and 2026 isn't showing another, a different change. At the beginning of 2026, yes, there's a big gap between 2026 and 2025, but then toward our April is become almost identical with 2025. Now that is important because this doesn't look like the market this doesn't look like a market that inventory gonna be jump very high. No, there's no way, right? Yes, there's a jump from 2024 to 2025, right? But then 2026 pretty much the same. So it's no longer going up, but it's stable at the level that we see for the last 12 months. So for the buyers, I think this is a much healthier market to look at in today's market. You know why? Because number one, if it continue going up crazy, that means that's a signal for oversupply. Eventually, it's going to reach oversupply and the price is going to drop, right? But this is not like a limited number of inventory like during COVID or before COVID that basically has no options at all. So it is a very, balanced market in which the buyers do not have to afraid of the crash, but also have options to choose from. Okay. Uh, Now this is a very interesting. Okay. Now let's look at the Chandler market. Okay. So here's a little bit similar to this chart right here. Per line is each of the line is 1 year, and each of the week is a dot. Okay. Across Arizona 2026, as a reminder, looks almost identical to 2025. But here's in Chandler. Okay. At this point right here, around August right here, we have about uh I'm I'm sorry, at around right here is about 570, 580. Oh, last year we have about 620 to 630. Now it's only 560 to 570 this year. So that is about 10% fewer active listing compared to previous year. So think about what that means if you are trying to buy the first home in China, right? Basically, I mean, there's social media, there's Google, there's Chat GPT, right? Everywhere advertise about, you know, um, more homes available on the market. Arizona also like similar home amount of homes compared to last year, right? This is the highest level for, last several years, right? Obviously, yes, it's true. But when you compare to Chandler, you're not going to see that, especially when you compare to 2025 and the number of 2022 is actually less. The active listing is actually less. And that is the reason causing the competition situation in Chandler as of right now, right? Because there's not a lot of inventory compared to the previous year. So if you buy a home, if you're looking for a home in Arizona, I'm sorry, in Chandler, you're gonna feel more competitive when you open to another area across Arizona, right? So that is very important. And a house in Chandler can require different offer strategy than the house in another part of the valley. Talking about offer strategy, I do have a free online training designed specifically for immigrant first-time home buyer. In this webinar, I'm gonna talk about the 7 steps to help you make the decision to buy the home successfully and build generational wealth in the U.S. We talked about how to choose the right agent for you. Believe it or not, I'm not the good agent for everyone. Right? Everyone has different style of working right together, and I will tell you how to select the right one for you, how to save up for the down payment, how to get the down payment for free. Number 3, how to choose the loan program that is suitable for you, right? How to get to see the house and select the right house for the family, how to make a right offer, how to manage the whole transaction so that it goes smooth, and continue negotiate with the seller. And last but not least, how to build generational wealth using the house. This webinar is completely free. It's happening on Thursday of this week at 2 p.m. So feel free to sign up. If you know of anyone uh, who is interested in this webinar as well, feel free to send the link over also. Okay, so let's talk about price. Okay, because actually this chart right here is recorded by CNBC. According to CNBC, the data is a little bit concerning for the home buyer. Okay, in Q4 2025, there's only 18% of the home buyers actually concerned about the home price. Okay, Q1 of 2026, that number dropped, right, to only 9%. But then Q2 of 2026 is jumped to 29%. So that means 3 out of every 10 buyers in the survey now identify home prices as the biggest concern. Especially they worry about if the house, they might thinking, am I buying too high? What happened if the price fall after I buy? Or maybe should I wait for another 6 months? Or maybe what if I can get the same house at cheaper next year? Okay, those are reasonable questions. But here's the mistake though. Here's the mistake that I want you to avoid. Being worried about the price is not the same thing as knowing where the price are going. No one can predict the future for sure, right? If you worry, yes, if it is happening, it doesn't help you're not going to be proud. You're not going to be proud of yourself if the negative thing happened, right? You're even going to be more worried about that market as well. So it's driving you down. But if it doesn't happen the way you think, you're going to be regret, right? So either way you lose. Either situation you lose. If it happens, you lose. If it doesn't happen, you still lose. So my best advice is, if you are thinking about buying a home, especially for those of you who are first-time home buyer, right? Think about the monthly payment. The monthly payment is the expense that gonna go with you for a long time, at least 5 years, 7 years, or 30 years. And I know that a lot of people are thinking afraid of this because they thinking they're gonna keep the house for 30 years. But rest assured, a lot of things change for the 5 or 7 years, right? Period. So you may have a lot of chance to sell the house, to move to different location and things like that. Anyway, the monthly payment is the more important. And for me, for all of my buyers, I always sit down, look at the monthly cost of owning a home. And if that number makes sense, then make the decision to buy instead of waiting for a future that may or may not occur. And even if it occurs, you lose. Okay? So, all right. So this is the number of people, buyers actually concerning about the price. But here's the fact. Here's the fact. Let's look at the median list price in 2022 is 449. In 2023 is 443. I'm sorry, 445. 2024 is 439. 2025 is 440, and now June 430. So that means homeowners actually start realizing that they need to drop the price to attract the buyers. They start realizing that home price cannot be high forever, even though it's still high compared to the period during COVID or pre-COVID, right? But they start realizing that if they keep listing at a very high number, they're not going to be able to sell the house. So they have to be willing to sacrifice a little bit to attract the home buyer. What about Arizona? Right? Overall, here's the chart right here, right? There's a lot of jump up and down, but I want you to focus on the black line right here, which is the median of the average list price per square foot, right? Right now, we are about 330 per square foot. This is below the several higher level right here. 2023 is the highest one, and it's dropping since then. So it's matched very well with this trend right here. It's dropping, but it's not drastic. It's not a big drop, right? So it's not go to the crash, right? But it slowly go down just enough to attract the buyers. Okay. Now, what about Chandler? A similar chart right here. So it's increased from 2017, 18, 19, 20. It's going to the peak in 2023. And look at this. It's still going up. It's still going up. So Chandler has one of the reason I believe, especially going toward the second half of 2026, home price is going to continue going up, is mainly because Chandler has fewer listings compared to other cities around the area, and therefore home price a little bit more competition between the buyers, and therefore the buyers tend to go a little bit higher, matching with the asking price, right? So that they can get the house. Now, it doesn't mean that Chandler homeowners can list whatever number that they want, right? It's still reasonable because look at this, it's increased, but it's relatively flat as well, and that is a key, right? You can the home seller in Chandler, Arizona, can be a little bit more confident than the rest of the Arizona, but it still has to be reasonable to be able to sell the house. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for watching today's episode. I'm excited to share with you. And just if you're thinking about buying your first home in Chandler or anywhere in Maricopa County in Arizona, and you're confused about whether you should buy now or continue to wait, don't make that decision. Just don't make that decision based on the national headline, okay? I can help you look at your budget, your target area, your local inventory, and your actual homes as well, the things that you're interested in. So you're considering so that you can understanding what makes sense for your family. Reach out to me and let's build strategy together before you start making offers. My name is Long Lei. I am the leader at Magical Success Realty. Thank you. Bye-bye.